My name is Emily Carter, and for as long as I can remember, nursing has been my calling. I loved the hospital corridors, the steady rhythm of beeping monitors, and the way that just being present for someone in their darkest moment could change everything. But somewhere along the line, I forgot about myself. Between endless shifts, paperwork, and the silent emptiness of going home to an empty apartment, I became invisible, not just to others, but to myself. At 38, divorced, and with no children, I often told myself I was fine. I buried my loneliness under scrubs and duty, telling myself the patients needed me, my colleagues relied on me, and that was enough. Until the day Daniel Hayes rolled into my care. Daniel was 32, with an injury that had landed him in the orthopedic unit where I worked. He had been in a car accident that fractured his leg and left him dependent on nurses like me for everything from medication to mobility assistance. At first glance, he was just another patient, another file, another name on the chart. But Daniel had a way of looking at me that made me feel something I hadn't felt in years. Seen. The first time I noticed it was during a routine check. I walked in with my clipboard, my usual professional smile, and asked, "How's the pain today, Daniel?" He looked up at me, his blue eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that startled me. "Better, now that you're here," he said, his lips tugging into a half-smile. I chuckled awkwardly, brushing it off as the kind of light-hearted comment patients sometimes make when they're trying to lighten their mood. But something about the warmth in his voice lingered with me long after I left his room. Day after day, I checked on him. We talked about small things at first, his favorite sports, the books he liked, how he missed driving his car. But soon, our conversations grew deeper. Daniel asked about my life, not in the casual way people do to be polite, but with real interest. When I told him I had been divorced for 5 years, he didn't give me the usual pitying look. Instead, he asked, "Do you ever think about starting over?" The question hit me harder than I expected. Start over? At my age? With the scars I carried? I wanted to say no, but instead, I found myself whispering, sometimes. Over the weeks of his recovery, I realized something unsettling. I looked forward to my shifts because I knew I'd see him. I caught myself lingering in his room a little longer than necessary, laughing at his jokes, and even dressing with more care before work, just in case he noticed. It was a dangerous line to walk. Nurses weren't supposed to get attached to patients. But my heart didn't care about rules. One evening, near the end of my shift, I came in to adjust his pillows. He reached out, his hand brushing mine, and held on for just a moment longer than was necessary. His voice was quiet, almost hesitant. "Emily, do you know how amazing you are?" I froze, every professional instinct telling me to pull away. But his words melted something inside me. For years, I had been invisible, unloved, undesired. And here was this man, injured, vulnerable, yet strong in spirit, reminding me that I was still a woman worth noticing. That night, I went home and stared at my reflection in the mirror. For the first time in years, I didn't see just a tired nurse. I saw Emily Carter, the woman beneath the scrubs, the woman who still longed to feel alive. The days turned into weeks, and Daniel's health improved. Soon, he was walking with crutches, and discharge was around the corner. I felt both relief and heartbreak. Relief because he was healing, heartbreak because it meant he would leave, and with him, the spark that had awakened in me. On his last day, as I handed him his papers, he looked at me and said, "I don't want this to be goodbye." His voice was steady, his eyes unwavering. I hesitated, my heart pounding. Crossing that line terrified me. But deep down, I knew something undeniable had already shifted. And that was the beginning of a story I never expected. One that taught me that sometimes love finds us when we've stopped searching, and that even in the most unexpected places, we can be reminded of our worth.